It's a call for an uprising, Sheffielders, and I tell you now, this is something that cannot be left any longer to the handful of people who are presently really put themselves on the line to try and protect our trees, and that includes one Sheffield councillor, the Green Party councillor, Alison Teal, who has been in prison for trying to protect our trees, because she, unlike most Sheffield people, understands the true reality of what's really going on here. Now, I ask Sheffielders to think for 1 minute how they would feel if the council had informed us all that because of austerity they're going to have to cut our oxygen supply and dramatically increase CO2, which to humans is a poisonous gas, and to our planet, according to the global warming experts. And remember, at the same time, there's all these plans to introduce a carbon tax. Well, in Sheffield, it turns out that they've already cut down 4,000 trees. So all the efforts of all these groups have done nothing at all to stop these trees being chopped down. Because what's needed is for thousands upon thousands of people to go and stand outside Sheffield City Council and let those bastards know that, sorry, no, we do not want any more of our trees cut down. Okay? 4,000 trees that have already been chopped down equates to loss of oxygen for 16,000 citizens per day. Okay? And it equates to an extra 88,000 kilograms of CO2 in our air per year that these trees were absorbing. And it's a private corporation that they've given the contract to do this. And meanwhile, we're all taking our cars off for the MOT, aren't we? And having the emissions checked. Why? Why are we having our emissions checked when apparently it's perfectly fine for Sheffield City Council to charge us council tax in order that they can dump an extra 88,000 kilograms of CO2 into our air per year? Oh, but it doesn't stop there, because they want to cut down now 75% of the remaining trees. Really? Really? Well, I know for a fact that standing around trees will not protect them. Okay? I took part in an action at a local housing estate near myself, and they were trying to chop down trees there, and we all stood around the trees and stopped them from chopping the trees down. Oh, a couple of months later, 6 o'clock in the morning, they were out there, they chopped them all down. That's the kind of thing they do. I was at Newbury Forest. There was nothing that we could do. The people on site, when it gets to the point where they're there ready to chop the trees down, the people on site can't do anything. They bring the police in, people get arrested. Like I say, Alison Teal's been imprisoned. It is up to us. Civil disobedience. Are we going to pay council tax to a council that wants to deprive us of oxygen and increase CO2 in our atmosphere? Put our children at risk. Most children in Britain, a lot of children in Britain already are suffering from respiratory problems. It will have an impact on the elderly. That is without doubt. There are already a lot of people suffering from respiratory problems in Sheffield. How's this going to impact them? Having thousands and thousands of kilograms of CO2 dumped in the atmosphere and vastly less oxygen. But as I've explained here, is there a more insidious reason behind this? Now, this is from the Environmental Health Trust, okay? And this article here, this study has been done by Helmut Breunig, and we do know for a fact now anyway that these transmitters, microwave transmitters they are, for mobile phone networks, okay, so it's radio frequency, RF radiation microwaves, and this study's looking at the impact on living organism trees. We know for a fact it also affects bees, okay? And bees are already under threat. So this is the photographic evidence of a study, and you can see, look, there was the tree. There's no RF transmitter full tree, okay? This is a tree badly damaged on one side. There's the RF transmitter, you can see. It isn't the same tree, it's just showed you that as an example, but look. Okay? Here you go, there's the transmitter. Red oak tree, that was in 2013, August 2013. Oh, look at it in August 2015. There you go. October, March 2012. And I'll just show you all the pictures. You can see the damage. It also causes strange growth as well, strange shoots. And you'll see, as you look through these photographs, there's the mast, there's the tree. There's another tree being exposed. There's the exposure point. Look at that. Look at the other trees that aren't in the line of exposure. Look at the tree that's in the line of exposure. It's not a coincidence. Okay? This is happening. This here, this hedge, that's a microwave exposure from traffic radar. Look. Okay? And you can see. The impacts are real. It does have an effect on our trees. Okay? Now, at the moment, we're under 3G. That's the power of it. But it's going to be moved up to 5G. This is already being implemented in America. We know that the powers that be are always planning in advance. Okay? So, I'm going to play you this now. A very short clip from this video. This is Deborah Davis, PhD MPH, President of the Environmental Health Trust. And she's going to talk to you a little bit here about the impact of 5G.
I'm Dr. Deborah Davis, and I'm here to talk with you today about the 5G that Environmental Health Trust is quite concerned about. This is a network that's being rolled out all over the country that will involve thousands of antennas. I love my devices as much as anyone else, but I don't want to put the health of my grandchildren at risk. I don't want to put them in harm's way, and we now know that the skin, our largest organ, does respond to 5G, and in fact we have in our sweat ducts, they can act as antennas that can receive signals. Now, this has not been tested for safety. The fact that it can interact with our sweat ducts may have much more profound meanings for our overall health and well-being. The idea that we're going to saturate this country with a network that has never been tested is appalling.
There you go, 5G. You're not talking about just one antenna here and there. You're talking about they're going to be everywhere. It's a grid. So my point is our Sheffield City Council planning in advance by removing most of our trees before this 5G grid gets implemented here, as it will be throughout Britain, as it is already being done in America. And we know for a fact that it does impact us. Okay, it affects our skin. And if 3G is having that effect on trees, what's 5G going to have? With antennas everywhere. Yeah, obviously, we in Sheffield would end up with how many dead and dying trees that all of a sudden the council would have to get rid of, that people would be noticing. Yeah. Oh, but it'll be much easier to get rid of if there's only 25% of them left, won't it? And that's why I've said in this post here, is there a method to their madness? Now, whether or not you believe that, whether you think that might be a wild conspiracy theory on my part, okay, about this 5G grid they want, they're planning to install all over the world. Regardless of that, still we're losing our oxygen supply. Still we're going to be expected to breathe in massive, huge amounts of CO2, and already with the 4,000 trees that are lost, we've lost oxygen for 16,000 citizens per day, and we've got an extra 88,000 kilograms of CO2 in our atmosphere per year. That's just from the trees that have already gone. What's it going to be by the time they've cut the 75% of the remaining trees? So regardless of whether or not you believe about the dangers of 5G, the 5G network, this alone should be enough to get people outside the council and letting these bastards of power know in no uncertain terms that, sorry, you are not going to cut our oxygen supply. You are not going to poison us with a toxic gas. And it is up to us to do that, to protect our children, to protect the elderly, to protect our trees, our beautiful green city, and also our bees and other wildlife that depends on these trees. And it is absolutely outrageous. And as I say, hats off to all the people that have stood by, that have been active in this. I'm sorry I haven't been able to be directly active in getting out there, because, I'm a full-time carer, and most of my time and attention, as anybody who knows me, has been absorbed fully by standing up for children's rights and addressing the absolute abomination of justice that child victims of child sexual abuse are receiving in this country. But this is all part of it. The sadistic, evil consciousness that's governing us, that doesn't care about people, that doesn't care about our trees, in a time when they're constantly harping on about CO2 and global warming, and they're talking about bringing a CO2 tax in. So they're going to chop our trees down, deprive us of oxygen, dump loads more CO2 in our atmosphere, and then perhaps in a few years' time be expecting us all to be paying carbon tax. And that's why I've made this video pleading with Sheffield people, please wake up, wake up, wake up. Get out there, get down to your council in your thousands. It is time. It's a call for an uprising. It's a call to say, no, you are not going to cut our oxygen supply anymore. We want all the trees you've chopped down replacing not just by one tree, but by 2 trees. You're not going to cut another 75% of our trees down. No, that is not going to happen. And it is only us that can stop it happening. Because thinking that everybody, they'll do something about it, these people who've stuck these things on the trees, they'll stop it. No, they can't stop it without everybody's help. We've all got to come together now. We need to come together and unite and defend our city's trees, defend our oxygen supply, protect our children and the elderly from this increased amount of what to us is a toxic gas in our atmosphere. We cannot sit by and allow this to happen. And we do need to ask ourselves, why are we having our cars checked for CO2 emissions when our council can get away with charging us to dump massive amounts of CO2 into our atmosphere? What is going on here? The hypocrisy is incredible. But what's even more incredible is that intelligent human beings will just accept it. So, please organise a day, and we need to do it. We need to be out in our thousands. We need to flood the city centre and let these people know, no, no, no. Refuse to pay your council tax if you have to. Why should we pay council tax to people who are depriving us of oxygen and dumping a poisonous gas onto us? Why should we? And we all need to ask ourselves that question now.